I'm Deepak Chopra. You're watching New Realities.
Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and this program is about the expansion of our consciousness and who we are as energy beings. And that is why I'm very happy to have two quite amazing guests today, Ed Edwards and Lihi Introp. Thank you both for being here. Ed is an energy conductor, and recently he's partnered with Lihi here to increase the energy flow. So Ed, before we get into it, tell people what your background is and how you would work with people.
Well, I grew up in the mountains of northeast Georgia, and I had a grandmother that was a hands-on Christian healer that had 30% Cherokee in her. And that's where the scientists believe that my energy was handed down from, because I've had this my whole life.
Had what exactly?
I've had the ability to control my higher brain functions, and I grew up as a very mischievous kid playing with energies and stuff in the rural country. So I grew up in my grandparents' studio and learning photography, and every time Grandma did energy healing on people in the studio, it'd make me tingle all over.
So you can make people tingle growing up.
Yes.
Wow. And
I learned how to do all kinds of things growing up, very mischievous things.
And then you've had a whole career as a healer now.
Yes.
And then what are some of the amazing things that people have had as a response?
I've working with all these scientists at these different universities and different research projects.
You worked at the...
I was with Dr. William Levingood, the guy that studied crop circles. He started the first studies on me for 14 years out of Pylandia Biophysical Labs.
And what did he discover?
That I could increase the energy levels in my body nearly 800,000 times over the average person.
And transmit that to some...
Transmit it, and we did long-range experiments where I would send energy from even Georgia to his labs, and at the same time I would send energy to Georgia, to labs, and to the Rhine Research Labs in joint tests.
And when you send energy to somebody, I felt it, but what happens to that person?
It increases the voltages in their bodies. It brings their voltages up. We're in studies now at the Monroe Institute there in the Copper Wall Array Lab where we're studying the electrical voltages in people's bodies.
The copper relay isolates any electromagnetic. So you're still able to conduct electromagnetic energies.
We have generators in our heads, all of us. There's nothing different about me and everybody else on this planet other than that all of you got this conditioned out of you, turned off when you was about first or second grade. And because my grandmother was a hands-on healer in our community, in the Christian community, and she did it, she kept it alive in me as a kid. So that's what allowed it to progress as I grew up. So my brain wired up totally different than the other kids that got it shut down in them.
And you've had an amazing career traveling around the country, doing healing demonstrations everywhere, particularly in New York. And just recently, you met up with this woman, Lihi, who you've called the energy woman till now.
Energy lady.
Energy lady, until this program. And now we're finally revealing your identity. But so what was the nature? I mean, I know you work in the field of psychology, but what was the nature? I mean, what was special about this woman?
She's the first person, we were at this lecture that you invited us to.
I did.
Okay.
We didn't know each other, obviously.
We didn't know us.
I knew you both, and I invited you to a lecture of somebody else.
I was up front, and then I went to the back, and I kept feeling the energy, and I was looking around. I didn't know who it was coming from, and then when we broke up and we were standing around, and as she walked by me and going out the door, you know how I push people with my electric gravity waves? I got shoved by her she was 3 or 4 feet away from me, and it just like, whoa, and I felt it. And I went out the door behind her and followed her up the New York City streets there to a little Mexican restaurant, and I just followed the energy. I didn't follow her.
But you also saw it on the top.
Yeah, when we were in there at the lecture, I went to the back of the room and I was sitting there kind of on my iPad and just barely listening in and everything. I kept seeing this like flickering glow on the ceiling in there. And that was her energy radiating
And
up there.
you never saw that with anyone else
No.
before.
Uh-uh.
So you're sensitive to energy. She walked by you, and suddenly you felt this
Yeah.
burst of.
I've been looking all over the country for someone that has this type of abilities and stuff, and then I've just kind of quit looking because I haven't ever found it anywhere in all my travels. And when we were in there, it was just phenomenal.
But you never worked as an energy healer. What did you say when he said he found this energy coming off you?
It's not that I haven't worked as an energy healer, but I've always had this energy. When
You were aware of it.
I was aware of this energy. It's source energy. When he sat next to me and he looked at me and we looked at each other, he's like, whoa. I just saw him as seeing me completely beyond the physical, beyond anything. He
As
was
pure energy,
As
man.
pure energy in the...
Like a light being.
Yeah.
She was a light being. That's all I saw was the light coming out of her.
And it was even before me being here as Lihi.
Right.
It was
Beyond
beyond even
the
being
physical
here.
manifestation.
Totally beyond.
Yes.
It was almost he saw me at the little point, the little
Of creation itself.
absolutely. And I really and we just kept on looking at each other. And then you said to me you wanted to show me something.
Yeah, I asked her, do you know about this energy you got coming out of you? And she said she knew of it, but she didn't know how to control it or anything direct, not like I did. And I said, here, let me give you just a small demonstration. And I did a little bit my energy in there and gave her a little demonstration. She just...
What did you feel when he did the demonstration?
Opened. I felt like my mind just totally opened up.
Really?
Yes.
And it stayed open?
And I felt like I was just opening and opening and opening. It's like I've been here and I meet people
Right.
all over the place, and I always know that I have to go into the frequency or the vibration that everybody else is at. I can give it words now.
Right.
So there's always boundaries, and I function within the boundaries. But when I met Ed, it was just I could just go beyond it all.
Really? Because he saw something in you that no one had seen, that you knew about yourself.
And I knew when he was saying it wasn't a line. Like,
Right.
oh, you know,
Right.
you're emotional. I've never seen this energy signature in my life.
You knew
I
he
know
was
lines.
sincere.
Yeah.
You've heard those lines before.
Yeah, not that one. That's a good one.
Okay.
But it just felt truth. It resonated like truth.
So how did that change then your energy field, knowing that someone and that they were able to sense that? Did that shift something?
It did shift something. It just felt so. It felt so unconditional, completely unconditional, completely. I didn't feel like there was any need, any agenda, any expectations. I mean, I wasn't thinking about it at that moment, but I could look back and say I was just totally open to it, and it was just on another level. It wasn't even on a personal level here necessarily. Yeah.
Amazing. So you've been doing this work for what, 40, 50 years?
My whole life.
Your whole life. And then you meet this woman. How does that then change what you've been doing for all that time?
She's like the power source. I mean, I got up to a plane or up to a certain height with this energy from all my research and all the work at the different universities and research labs I've been in. And with all the scientists' feedback to me, helped me improve and fine-tune things. But I reached a level or a plateau of energy. When I met her, it was like a rocket ship, just what we've been able to do together now so far is phenomenal.
And you were saying how you had like doors opening up. Even
Yeah.
just sitting there when he first met me, he's like, "Oh my God, I'm just having doors opening up."
More knowledges, more everything coming in.
So it went through the roof, you said that, and this has been measured in laboratory. Talk about like how these tests have changed.
I've been understudied 25 years so far. Started with Dr. Levengood, and then that got me introduced to the Ryan Research Center in 2008. So I've been in the bioenergy, biophoton lab at the Ryan Research Center. I started with Dr. Bill Jones and Dr. Steve Bowman, who worked with Duke University, and then later with John Kruth there, the director there now. And so we've been doing these studies there, and then they got me introduced to the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies Lab under Dr. Ross Dunseith in 2015, where they wired me all up with the brain mapping to see why I'm able to do these
And
things.
they discovered like different parts of your brain.
Yeah. My brain's operating at full potential. Part of my brain's in alpha, another part's in delta, another's PKing in beta, another's PKing in theta, all at the same time.
Okay, then what did Lee do then for your brain?
Well, it made it go, just sewed everything together. And it made everything that I'm doing so much smoother. She put so much power in there and stuff. It's just like I hooked up to a supercharged nuclear reactor there when she came into my life.
What were you going to say?
No, I said that you also said that you plateaued.
I was plateaued up until I met her, and then it just took off.
It was basically the pure feminine
Yeah,
energy
talk
and
about-
the pure masculine actually meeting on another level of awareness or another level of consciousness.
How do you explain pure feminine? It's not that you're just feminine, but how can you explain
you
that?
want to say about the
Well,
battery?
source, if you look at God, look at source,
Mm-hmm.
that's not male or female up there.
Right.
That's masculine and feminine energy combined.
Right.
Okay, to get here to Earth, down here on this plane, it has to be reincarnated in the male and in the female.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the proper male and female to come together that is aware, then that brings source to the planet, brings God to the planet.
So how do you source that feminine to empower the masculine, and how does that work? Both. I mean, do you know what are you consciously doing something?
Well, we resonate our energy.
Yeah.
It just emanates from you.
It totally, and I find different parts of my my brain lighting up.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. So what can you do together? I mean, now, we'll do a little demonstration too, but just talk about.
We're enhancing everything that I was already doing. I'd already got now to where I can make neuropathy go away in most people's feet and hands in 5 minutes with the labs now studying it. We've got
Right.
other universities wanting to line up clinical studies and doing just that. I'm working with stroke patients and stuff, but now with her in there, that's going to make this power so much more defined and everything. We're going to be able to, because there was a few people I couldn't have any effects on, but we've noticed now with her in there, we're having effects on everybody.
Does she have to be in your field? All you have to do is think of her, or do you send him energy? How are you working? I'm just
We're
curious.
doing joint Zoom webinar healing activation rooms. She's up here in New York, and I'm wherever I'm at whichever research lab, and we get together on Zoom. We resonate together.
How do you? Yeah, actually, I heard one of those, and you felt very much in alignment, like one mind. Is that just something that happens because of your resonance of energy, or do you prepare? Do you? It just.
We just turn it on and go.
And it's becoming stronger and stronger. It's becoming that we get on, we meet, and now I'm able to just kind of go. It just
You go.
opens
What
up.
does that mean?
I just feel my energy, my consciousness, my level of awareness. I leave my body. I mean, I'm in my body, but I leave my body, and I'm on this higher level of consciousness. And I almost feel like we're communicating without words. There's so much information that's being sourced down, and as I do it more and more, there's just, I don't know, I feel this love. I feel this love for whoever we're doing. As the vibration increases, I'm experiencing the love of the group. It's-
Beautiful. So you're expanding out of like the physical, but you're encompassing
Exactly.
the group.
Yeah, and it's always different.
And you saying you could do this together here and transmit it?
We can transmit and we can record it into your audio and video recording right now. And if you would have all the audience when we do this to stand up, that can
Okay.
stand up in a cool, quiet place, and we'll resonate our energies up and project it into the video.
I won't interfere with your energies. Will
Okay.
No, not at all.
But also,
Okay.
did you talk about our studies together?
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Back about a month and a half ago, just after I met Lihi, I was at the Monroe Institute at the Copper Wall Array Lab that me and Dr. Ross Dunsey he had finished building it. I helped the rough construction.
Yeah,
He did
explain what a
instrument.
copper wall is.
They have the same one at the Menninger Institute, and it's a specially shielded copper wall room that's about 3 foot by 3 foot square.
And the copper wall does not let in any other
It does
vibration.
not let in anything. It's got shielding plates behind the copper wall plates that are all grounded out with individual grounds to ground. And then before we get into the chamber, we have to ground out and then stand in the chamber and hang on to a ground.
What does that mean, ground out? Like,
Hang on to a ground rod that takes out any static energy or anything that could be in our bodies. And then we're standing on glass, a 1 inch thick piece of glass over the top of another copper wall that's then got all the sensors
so
connected.
there's no electromagnetic waves, nothing. How does it
Correct.
feel to be in a room like that? It must feel great.
It feels great. Get rid of it.
Okay, so then what happened?
Well, we got there and got it built, so I got there ahead of time. We started running the experiments on me, and I said, hey, I'm down here at Monroe. Can you come down?
But wait, what are the experiments they're doing? Because there's no electromagnetic waves coming in and out, so what are they testing?
They connect me up with instruments, 2 instruments, to check the voltages in my body. So I step into the chamber all grounded out and start out at 0 volts DC. And within 5 minutes, I can bring the electrical voltages up in my body to over 70 volts DC. There's a paper getting ready to be published today at the Monroe site.
You bring up those like by thinking about opening that
By
part of your brain.
turning on this generator that got turned off in you when you were a little kid.
It got turned off in me? Well,
And most everybody got the generator shut down when you were in about the 1st or 2nd grade.
because we had to fit in.
Through education, religion, and all this other stuff.
But because you had your grandmother, never got turned down.
My grandmother kept it alive in me, and by the time I got to be 6 or 7 years old, I had the best, funnest toy in the world to play with.
So in the copper chamber, they're measuring your electromagnetic frequencies out of your brain.
They're measuring the amount of voltages that I'm building up in my body and coming out of my brain. It's the EEG studies they do on me that checks the voltages in the different parts.
And that was high. And then you told Lihi to come down, and what happened then?
We put her in the chamber.
Separate from you.
Separate from me the first time.
Okay.
Separate from me, just to see what's going on in her, because I wanted to validate what I was feeling coming out of her. And that thing shot up. She was at 40 volts when I started recording it. I made a video of her, and she went on up over 50 volts DC.
Most people, when they go in, they record what?
1 or 2 volts.
Oh, really? You do have a lot of energy, huh? That's
And
exciting.
most people,
You know that.
if they're sick, they're reading negative voltage because they're draining
Oh,
their
if they're
system.
not well, I see. But what's your voltage reading?
Well, like I said, first time was over 70, and I expect when we get back there, I should be able to do over 300 volts.
Okay, so then you went in separate, and then you went into the chamber together.
We went in the chamber together, and the voltage is all revved up really good. And then we had the idea of putting some of the Monroe Institute staff in there with us that had some medical problems. So they wired them all up, and they had a negative voltage to start out. And then we put them between me and Lihi, and then we turned our power on. And when we turned our power on, we saw a steady increase in voltages in the staff, each of the staff people. We took them up to over 20-something volts DC, and boy, they started feeling really good then.
Great. So when you were in there together, was that a kind of synergistic energies of both your work?
That actually showed up in the EEGs that we did at mine.
Talk about the EEGs, and then we'll do the
2
experiment.
weeks ago, Lihi flew down to the Ryan Research Center,
At Duke
where
University.
they've been studying me in the biophoton lab there, bioenergy lab. And so we had a special lady come in that does EEG research, and she brought in these dual band systems where they wired both of us up, and we got in the biophoton lab, and we were able to resonate our brain waves together, and they were writing up a whole paper on that.
And
right
it was
now.
synced up
It
together.
was beautiful to
Yes.
see afterwards. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
How the syncing?
Yeah, it was gorgeous, and
Exactly.
she was so excited.
The
She was just
researchers
like,
were
"Look
going
at this."
nuts out there in
It was
the
like a
control
dance.
room.
It was
Really?
like
The
it
two
was
of
a
you were
dance between
totally
the masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
And your brains
Yes,
and all
it
that.
was, and it
Our
shows like
brains
this.
were just
And when
chanting
he
like
was,
crazy.
then at one point you were feeding me,
Yes.
and it showed how he was feeding me, and I was accepting it.
Okay, we're going to show that.
We can say here that on the left we are seeing Lihi with some gamma frequencies up at the top, but primarily a lovely awakened mind pattern here in the lower frequencies, with an upturned delta, meaning really good connection with her unconscious mind. Here is gamma. What we know from our database is that a quiet beta means not much analysis and the active thinking externalized beta conscious mind. Activity such as amplitudes you're just seeing here in Lihi's alpha mean a relaxed sensory awareness, a connection through the alpha bridge, the subconscious mind here in the blue, and that is the repository of long-term memory and therefore one's creativity, insight, spirituality. This is the home of the essential being here in theta. And then delta in the personal unconscious has a kind of radar, an instinctual radar, which extends outward to other people, and empathy, like you just saw, this big amplitude shift here for empathy, or in psychic awareness or the transmission of energy. So with the awakened mind pattern, which, as I said, is what we're seeing with Lihi right here, you see an open flow of awareness from the clarity of Beta's quiet thinking mind across the Alpha bridge, and the relaxed sensory awareness of Alpha into Theta's creativity, insight, spiritual awareness of the essential being, and then on into Delta's empathy and psychic awareness, and back on up. So the person is awake in terms of being united with themselves, others, and their spirit in the awakened mind pattern. And what we see is more of a gamma pattern here in Ed's left brain, much more amplitude in his left brain. I think they have just moved in the coherence, coherent segment, which is, I think, where your mind link with one another. We're going to have to zoom Lihi out because her gamma has increased enormously from 10 now to 12 microvolts. And I think we better go to 15. Ed, we can no longer stay on 10. We have to increase this pattern to at least 15. So this is the mind link. You can see that the SEMG bar is quiet, so these amplitudes are not related to movement in any way. This is just brainwaves we're looking at here. Lihi's pattern has changed dramatically during coherence from the awakened mind into way more gamma amplitudes. Ed's mind is quiet at the moment, very quiet, even at 3 microvolts. It's almost an out-of-body pattern, it's so quiet. But not for long. You've seen him flare back up into his gamma. Ed aiming at Lihi at 622. So this is still the coherent segment, and Lihi is showing so much gamma that we have to change her amplitudes to 30. Ed is still on 17 microvolts. And now they're both decreasing their amplitudes. I suppose coherence means a mind link. Ed again goes extremely quiet before blasting out into all this alpha, or rather gamma. And she's gone very quiet too. But this does seem to be the segment in which Ed is aiming at Lihi, and you see both of them increasing with the left brain, Ed's left brain gamma here. And then they both flare up into high amplitude gamma. Lihi is still producing a pretty balanced gamma, actually. Very different from her opening baseline readings. I believe is the beginning of Lihi transmitting to Ed. He's producing a beautiful gamma synchrony pattern here with extra theta down at the bottom, meaning that he's going deep and high at the same time. Lihi's activity is mostly in her high frequency gamma or left brain gamma, but she doesn't show this left brain gamma. She's transmitting with the dual hemisphere gamma. He seems to transmit and receive with the left brain gamma. And see, Ed seems to be taking her gamma into the depths of his theta and delta, forming a very strong circular pattern at times that looks like the evolved mind pattern of bliss, unity consciousness, universal awareness. So you're moving back into a mind link with each other at the moment, and neither of you transmitting energy, but possibly mind walking. Let's see what's happening. The patterns do seem to be growing more similar, with her more in a left brain gamma dominance at the moment. Ed's gamma increasing. Both of them with a left brain dominance, which I think we can safely say is Ed's pattern that Lihi is synchronizing to. We will get the biophoton readings from John later. She's maintaining a very strong alpha, and you can see they're moving, both of you are moving back into your original patterns. Lihi with her awakened mind, strong alpha. Once Ed goes still again, well, now he's moving into Lihi's pattern. But in a few moments, we'll move back into his gamma, no doubt. Actually, this looks more like the mind walking that I would have expected with coherence rather than the baseline. Lihi has opened her eyes, therefore her alpha is disappearing a bit. Here's Ed moving back into his typical pattern. Once this settles down, you'll see it with the left dominant gamma. But you can see, if we start this session over, that your brainwaves have undergone a great deal of change. Both of you retained amplifications in your brainwaves, but most importantly, at the moment when Ed aimed at Lihi, here there were massive increase in Lihi's energetics, so that we had to move her out to 20 and 30 microvolts. Lihi was aiming at Ed. It's as if Ed is taking up Lihi's awakened mind pattern, although he does go back into his left hemisphere gamma. Lihi's gamma remains huge. See some of that in summary. Amplitude increasing for Ed, that she's aiming at him. But also we see more amplitude in his theta and his delta.
Well, I'm excited now. Let's do a demonstration and tell us what you're actually doing because you're emanating energies now,
Yes,
just sitting
you're
here.
Feeling it, I know.
Yeah, I'm feeling something. I'm a little
Okay,
dizzy.
so what we're doing here, everybody stand up and you'll feel it better. So right now, me and Lihi are resonating our energy. It's just vibrating back and forth. And so we're building up the voltages here.
How are you doing this, vibrating? You're just sending the intention.
Mm-hmm.
So very much the intention. I know how to do it in my brain, so I'm kind of like the control computer, and she's the power center, but she's picking up
what are you
on
feeling?
It's already expanding.
Okay, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So if you're standing up there, we'll set up for demonstration purposes a gravitational wave. So you're standing there and you should be rocking. Your fingertips should be starting to tingle. All right, now I'm going to pull everybody forwards. Okay, I'm letting off of it, reversing the polarity, and I'm pushing everybody. Now, if you have any aches and pains and stuff, you'll notice them start warming up on you here. And I'm letting off. Now I'm going to reverse the polarity and pull. And Lihi's energy is like the power source, just cranking it up in me here. I could do this before Lihi, but now it's so much stronger. Now I'll reverse it and push. By now your body should be warming up slightly. Fingertips should be tingling good and feeling just this whole energy field increasing. Now I teach classes, and getting Lihi to help me, and the teaching of the classes of letting everybody sit in the field of energy. That's what teaches you. Just kind of like we're doing right here. And as Lihi moves her hands in and out just like that, you'll be able to feel those sensations run through your hands. Feel the pressure there when she comes in? You'll feel it come apart, kind of like expanding. So this is how we do our healing activations. See, I grew up knowing and understanding that there's no such thing as a healer. The healing mechanisms are built within the bodies of everybody. Only I can heal me. Only Lihi can heal her. But we can take our voltages and project it into people, and it cranks the voltages up in your body so strong that your healing mechanisms start working at maximum efficiency. And in a sense, we charge your batteries up with the amount of power we're able to produce and radiate. Okay. All right, we'll lower it back down now.
Oh, you don't have to lower it. I was feeling good. Can we talk and keep it high?
Yeah, we can keep it high and just keep it through the rest of the show.
Let's do it, because
All right.
as people watch, they get...
So as y'all watch and as we talk, you're going to feel warming and feeling all kind of great energy running through you.
I was feeling a lot of tingling in my hands and,
Yeah.
and a clarity.
Yeah.
How is that recorded? Because I'm feeling it live, but how is it recorded on video?
It's not recorded on the video. They found out way back in, Dr. Levengood found it out, that in my voice is a 2.2 hertz signal that is generated magnetically like a magnetic wave, and that gets recorded in your video. Okay, then he explained it like this. He said, when I do these things, I'm sending this signal out, and when it goes into recording, so anybody in the future hears me talking or whatever, they're getting a signal they cannot hear, but it's triggering their brains to lock into the quantum field.
But it's not just hearing, I mean, yes, but also I'm feeling the energy that you're emanating. It feels like a love energy, huh?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening for you? Where are you?
Yeah, I
in
mean,
that?
I feel it. I mean, I feel it more on a pure state of love.
Like you're emanating
yeah,
love.
a pure state of being. That's where I go. And I love, like I said, I just love having a group that I could raise the vibration, because it's raising the energy of the density of, like, let's say, the emotions, the anger, the shame, the guilt. All these things are actually being metabolized. It's unintegrated energy, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical. And I was telling also Ed, because of my background,
As in psychology.
It's I don't know if you've experienced it, but I think that people that end up getting this vibration and going to an increased or higher frequency or a higher level of awareness, there's going to be a lot of the suppressed, a lot of things that have been in the subconscious that are going to be coming up as well. You know what I mean?
But you say it could bring up issues that you have now, the tools to work with.
Absolutely. But I also think that, or I know that it's also it's a great, great time now in humanity to actually do this energy work.
Why is
Because I
it
think
now?
people are really open to it. I think a lot has been going on as far as there's been a lot of things that have been actually in the subconscious are now coming out, and it's showing up all over the world, whether it's in politics, whether it's in relationships and stuff like that. So it's actually a very, very, it's fertile ground right now to actually do this type of work.
And you know what I'm noticing about you is that you're shifting, because I've known you a while. It's like you're coming out, you're dropping into more of your essence, more of your being.
Yes.
Because of this work with Ed.
That's right, because what it is, I'm becoming the embodiment of all these higher levels of consciousness. It's actually, it's landing inside my physical body. Instead of just walking around on this one level dimension or one level of consciousness, I'm actually embodying it. And that's really our birthright, to integrate all those levels and bring it down here. And that's what Ed and I are doing.
Exactly. In the EEG studies they do on me at Dopp's lab at the University of Virginia, when they wire 128 wires into my head and we do days of programming and stuff, they learned, like I said, all my brain is operating all the time. And it's operating on all levels of consciousness all the time. So that's how I'm able to process this energy.
So you're really living, and maybe you're in a different world. Your world is more totally energetic. When you're looking at people, you're not really seeing them, you're feeling their energies.
I feel their energy, I feel their emotions like she does, but I don't have the ability to put in the love. I'm just that old masculine kind of bear, rough guy in the woods there, and boy, she just smoothed me right out.
With her love.
Yeah.
People haven't been noticing a difference as far as the feminine coming into play, whether it's in their chakras, whether it's a smoother energy, whether it's a more love energy. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, we complement each other beautifully.
So you're picking up on her love, and it's your stuff is not as harsh
It's not so harsh anymore.
Right, and it kind of adds a flow.
Right, and it's like he's in the unseen and I'm in the scene, and we're actually meeting. You know, he's the formless and I'm the form, because his level of consciousness is coming from the unseen, and you know, and I'm here in form. So that hence the masculine and feminine. So it's really like a sacred marriage in a sense, because we're actually we're meeting like this and bringing it down here.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Wow. So how has this changed you personally? I mean, I see how it's
I'm
changed.
very, very excited, because I just feel like this is going to have such an impact on in humanity. I don't know how it's going to look, but it's the unknown, which I love. Yeah. And I'm going for it. You know what I mean? I feel like a responsibility to do this.
Yes, it's time that you've come out.
Absolutely,
and share.
And I'm here to do that.
So, what does the future? I mean, we have a few minutes, but so tell me, what's the future of your work together looks like?
It looks like we're probably going to go into more of this healing activation. We're having phenomenal effects in our Zoom webinar rooms. We're seeing an increase. We got repeat people coming in there now. Once they experience this, they come back over and over and over, and they're all seeing an increase. And the level of power that we're able to produce is just doubling, seems like every week.
And I just want to say also, I know that this is going to have an impact on the mental health field.
Oh, really? How, you think?
First of all, Ed, you've worked with autistic kids.
I've done studies where I work with autistic kids, kids with anxiety, kids with depression, and it'll be published papers coming out from Dr. Robin Oppenheim in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've worked with the kids, and all I do is teach the kids how to get in touch with their energies, and boom, their problems going away.
And I feel like it's going to be helping people who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Really? Because
they're accessing different realms. So, I mean, I also work in a psych hospital, and I have a private practice in Manhattan and Long Island, but I've met many individuals that have had diagnoses such as schizophrenia. And I'm actually, when I see them, when they're having, let's say, a psychotic break, I can actually meet them on that energy, at that level of that.
And you send them that love energy.
It's there, and then I'm the ground. Then
and how does that affect their schizophrenia?
They become, I'm like, whoa, they become, I mean, not necessarily every single person, but they know now where home is. Someone is actually recognizing where they're at. So I'm bringing them down here, and they become more rational and more logical, and then they're explaining their fears. They're actually talking about it.
So this is really replace the next level beyond psychology. This is
absolutely. That's what I see. That's exactly
meta psychology.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely
metaphysical. This is very exciting. What are you feeling there, Ed?
I've just got electric fields in my hands. I'm increasing it so that everybody in the audience out there can just be revving up, feeling all this. This is something all of you should be having all the time.
Well, I'm feeling here. Do that again. I was just feeling a little buzz there. No, let's just do it out there, and I'm feeling like a little tingling in my body.
You should be feeling tingle. It should feel like you got gloves on, kind of like there's an electric field all the way around you.
And really, the more you do this, the more you, the stronger, the more in tune you become with this.
Yeah.
So anyone could do this who's watching, and they'll pick up on their own energy field.
Exactly.
And this is how healing starts.
This is how I teach it in my classes. I don't teach by talking and running my mouth. I teach by turning it on, letting people feel it. They feel the different parts of their brain start lighting up and sensations in there, and they're able to then to remember that and just keep doing it.
How come it's not always on? Why are you turning it on and off?
Well, we've got a generator, and I consciously rev it up, or I let it slow down a little bit. It supplies power to the other areas of the brain that is otherwise dormant in everybody. So it's a matter of teaching people to turn their generator on to supply the rest of the brain the power it needs to operate these other levels of consciousness.
But when you're actually just talking regular conversation, are you using
I'm
that
just a
part?
tiny bit of it.
Because you have to actually adjust yourself in a sense, right?
If I'm going to talk to you, I'm doing one thing. If I'm going to do a activating your healing systems, then I'll turn the power way on up in this and radiate into you, and then your systems pick up on what I'm doing, and they come online.
Well, it's like with you, what you were just doing before. You said, like, do that again. It was feeling very nice. Like, do that like energy.
You can't have expectations.
No, I don't have expectation. I was just feeling something when you were doing that, and then when you started talking, you were using another part of your brain, and it wasn't as strong as that was. But when you were like, beaming, then I started to feel
She'll
that
be
energy.
as strong all the time here in just another month or so.
It's
probably.
great. I mean, I feel like I have a new toy to play with, my brain.
Yeah.
Great. How can people reach you?
People could reach Ed and I at lihianded.com. You could also reach me at my email address, lihi@lihianded.com, for private sessions and group events. You could also reach Ed Edwards at
ededwards.com.
And they'll be able to find like a schedule of events that you're both doing?
Well, I will be posting the events. I'll be posting the classes and the healing rooms on my front page.
One more question. Do you feel there's any limits, or do you feel like this potential can take you?
It's unlimited. It's it's unlimited. It's infinity. That's really, it's infinity, like this.
It's infinity. What do you mean? The energy that comes
Because it's coming from the unseen and over here. So this is really actually right in the point is where I'm meeting Ed. And I feel that between me and him, as we're actually building on this energy, the masculine and the feminine, we're building actually a whole brain. Where the
left and
feminine
right
and
brain.
the
I feel
left and the
it's
right
on one
hemisphere.
side of the brain, and she's the other side of the brain of this energy being, in effect. So we come together and we create this one being, which is a combination of both of us together. We're kind of like bringing source here.
Yeah, in fact, I feel like there's been more communication. I'm becoming more and more tuned into my brain. I'm feeling a bridge between the left side and the right side.
Beautiful.
Actually showed up in the EEGs.
Yeah, that showed in the EEGs clearly when we did the dual. We wired both of us up into the same computer and in the bioenergy lab, so we were getting biophoton counts of over 300 coming out in there and spikes, and then you could see my brain. When my brain would rev up and share with her, the biophoton count revved way up.
And the more you work together, the stronger this
it's
is getting.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I just see it as bringing up the vibration to a pure state of love and a pure state of being here, more and more and more. And the more, and it's beautiful to be in this position because I'm getting the reflections of it all. I mean, a lot of the feedback
do you
that
mean,
we've been
reflect?
getting,
Yeah.
and a lot of the testimonials, it's always moving.
And we're having phenomenal effects with children.
Beautiful. Thank you both for being here today. I really appreciate your work, what you're doing, coming out into the world, because now is your time. I've wanted you to come out early, but she hadn't had the right platform. And this was a perfect platform.
I've said to you before, because everything else was always limited.
Yes.
I've always have opportunities coming my way, but this is coming from nothing. From nothingness to fullness, it's emptiness to complete fullness.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us here.
Of course. Well, let's leave on like some of that energy. So let's pour it out there, and we'll roll the credits, and we'll just beam our way home.
See, right now I'm feeling right now this whole energy field right now with so-called Ed and so-called Alan. And I'm actually experiencing both of you within me.
Yeah, we're like an electrical gaseous
it's just
cloud right
yeah.
now.
I feel you.
Yeah.
It feels like a tingle starting from my stomach.
It's enjoyable.
Yes.
It's very nice. Well, I'm just going to close my eyes and thank everybody for watching today. Give me some feedback. Leave comments here about what you're feeling. And we'll maybe do more shows as this work evolves.
Go back and watch it several times and it'll get stronger and stronger.